Emotional abuse isn't merely screaming at someone or name calling. It's more than that. It goes deeper. The wounds that it inflicts often linger long after the verbal blows have ceased, leaving invisible scars that can shape a person's sense of self-worth and ability to trust. Victims may grapple with feelings of confusion, isolation, and a diminished sense of reality as the constant undermining of their thoughts and emotions creates a lasting impact that can manifest in anxiety, depression, and difficulty in future relationships. The echoes of manipulation and control can haunt their lives, making it a struggle to reclaim their identity and sense of safety. Today, we will address this matter and look at a lot of the ways in which emotional abuse takes place for the victims of narcissistic abuse that you may not have realized was indeed emotional abuse. So by shedding light on these subtle forms of manipulation, we aim to open the eyes of victims, helping them recognize their experiences and empowering them to begin the journey of healing and reclaiming their lives. My name is Deanna King, and this channel is All Talk Narcissism and Codependency. What is emotional abuse? Emotional abuse is a form of abuse where someone uses words or actions to control, belittle, or manipulate another person. Unlike physical abuse, it doesn't have visible scars, but it can deeply affect a person's well-being. People who experience emotional abuse often deal with anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem, but the impact isn't just mental. It can affect physical health too. Stressful thoughts can trigger the release of hormones that affect your heart rate, either speeding it up or slowing it down. When we experience emotional stress or abuse, our bodies respond in various ways. For example, this can result in symptoms such as headaches, fatigue, and gastrointestinal problems. Prolonged exposure to stress may even compromise the immune system. Additionally, chronic emotional stress can lead to inflammation, which is associated with numerous health issues, including heart disease and arthritis. Furthermore, the anxiety and depression stemming from emotional abuse can interfere with sleep, creating a cycle that exacerbates physical health concerns. And autoimmune diseases are becoming such a common thing these days that many victims blame the disease on their symptoms re-emerging. But the thing is that if you have an autoimmune disease to begin with, your symptoms will constantly flare up due to the stress that your abuser is putting you through. And the more often the flare-ups, the more damage it causes to the organs. You'll try losing weight or gaining, but to no avail. For some, hair loss becomes a thing, and heartburn, because you can no longer digest your food. It's an extremely serious matter. And you can eat all the right foods and gulp down all the right vitamins or smoothies, but nothing will change unless those stress levels go down. And that isn't easy when you live with a narcissist. So let's look at the different ways in which emotional abuse takes place. The first one I want to talk about is contempt. A person displaying contempt has got to be one of the worst feelings the receiver can experience. It's a form of hatred. They'll look at you with disgust, disdain. That chilling look that they give you of complete disapproval reopens the wound from childhood of feeling unlovable and disgusting. The narcissist will treat you that way for many reasons, like not having given them enough attention or jealousy, and also when they're about to discard. But whatever the reason on their part, what do you think that's doing to you? The next one is being dismissive. When someone goes out of their way to show you that your feelings don't matter, that is profoundly hurtful, especially when it comes from someone that you love. You try to address a subject that's important to you and you're told that you're too sensitive, or an event that you've been wanting to attend with them as a couple that they knew was really important to you. And then when the time comes, they do something to ensure that you don't go. Or what about birthdays and holidays? Constantly being dismissed when you are constantly going overboard for them to ensure that they feel loved when it comes to their birthdays. that they're important, that they matter. And often we ourselves end up treating ourselves in the same manner by dismissing our own feelings with rationalizations that they just aren't like you or something. But you can rationalize until the cows come home and bury that pain deep inside, but it's there. And it isn't going anywhere until you can look at it and grieve. That's acknowledging the self, the very thing that you needed that the narcissist failed to give you. That is emotional abuse. It's more than anger that you feel inside. It's sadness. It's a deep, deep hurt. Refusing to tell you why they're angry at you. Narcissists will get upset with you about the most insidious things, and rather than say something about it, they'll pout or have this whole angry, stern look on their face. And when you ask them what's wrong, they won't tell you. Somehow, you're supposed to know. And now you're walking on eggshells. That is a lot of stress to put on a person. And a lot of times, it isn't you. It could be something that happened at work, like their coworker got promoted and they're livid, so you're bearing the grunt. And you're the one paying the price for their anger. At this point, you're hypervigilant, knowing full well that a fight will ensue at any moment because you know they're looking and you have no idea what you can do to make things better because you've no idea why they're angry at you in the first place. You are now in survival mode, maybe trying to do something extra nice for them like they deserve it or not. But regardless, your stomach is in knots, literally. What do you think this stress is doing to your body? The scars are inside. They're in your organs. Next, we have demanding immediate answers from you. There's been a fight, and now they're coming at you like a bull, demanding you answer a question like you're a 5-year-old or something. For example, someone was nice to you at dinner, and now they want to know what you were thinking to laugh at their jokes, and they demand an answer now. The question is so absurd, yet the stance that they're taking so threatening that you go into freeze response. In a split second, the brain signals a threat and your body immediately gets flooded with hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Chronic activation of this survival mechanism can cause serious damage to not only the mental health, but also the physical. We also have name calling, verbal abuse, and I don't think I have to explain that one, but regardless, it keeps your stress levels up. Verbal abuse can be frustrating, especially when you continue to set these boundaries with them and yet they aren't respected. And the thing about understanding boundaries is that boundaries aren't about controlling them. Boundaries are about protecting you on what is and isn't tolerable for you. Constantly telling the narcissist that they can't do this or that in an attempt for them to stop is trying to control them, trying to control their behavior. It is our behavior that we have to control, meaning that if they call us names, we can't keep accepting it because if we continue to not take action, we are accepting the behavior. If you aren't ready to leave the relationship just yet, then at least set a boundary that if they yell or verbally abuse, that you will walk away from said discussion and really do. Not one more response from you when they try to bait you into reacting, which they will, and do this every time. Stonewalling is another form of emotional abuse. Stonewalling is a common tactic used by narcissists to manipulate and control conversations, particularly during conflicts. It involves shutting down communication entirely, refusing to engage, or giving the silent treatment. This behavior can manifest as physical withdrawals, such as turning away or leaving the room, as well as emotional detachment, where the narcissist appears disinterested and unresponsive. The impact of stonewalling on the victim can be profound. It creates a sense of frustration and helplessness as the victim is left without the opportunity to express their feelings or resolve issues. And this tactic also reinforces the narcissist's power by making the victim feel insignificant and unheard. And over time, repeated stonewalling can erode trust and emotional intimacy, further damaging the relationship and leaving the victim feeling isolated and invalidated. More invalidation. And the victim will often react in desperation in these cases because it's so hard to take. Every day that passes is yet another day where they aren't speaking to you. You dread that feeling of them coming home. You find yourself trying all kinds of ways to reason by things like writing long emails, weighing all your words carefully and deleting and going back and forth and adding more things before sending to make sure that there is absolutely nothing that they could possibly say that they could attack you with. And these emails are written so clearly that a 2-year-old could understand, and so heartfelt that anyone with a heart would respond in kind. But the narcissist doesn't respond. I mean, how else can it make you feel after working so hard to make this relationship work and not getting zilch in return? It's a horrible feeling. And then again, they might finally respond where somehow they found one word that you wrote to attack you, which can and often does lead to the next emotional abuse tactic: word salad. They haven't spoken to you in days, but now they have a need for another type of supply, so they'll bait you into circular conversations so that they can have moments of yelling at you and spewing awful put-downs. That makes them feel great. And in that mix, they'll play these really cruel games of making you repeat yourself over and over again, trying to find different ways to explain to them something that they already understood from the get-go. It's funny to them to see you frustrated and upset as they watch you trying so hard to communicate with them. And this goes on for hours. Every time that you've had enough and try to walk away, they guilt you into sitting back down. And then once they themselves are bored and want to end this game, they'll end with perhaps something like agreeing to seek out couples counseling, which they never will go to. But that gets them off the hook, leaves you with a cookie crumb, and now they can get back to the business of having their dinners made for them. Meanwhile, you are completely void of energy and shaking inside. Your nerves are shot because you've just spent 3 full hours of constant adrenaline flooding your body. Now, if that isn't abuse, I don't know what is. Then things are going apparently well, but they continue to emotionally abuse you covertly with sarcastic remarks or attitudes. They might come home and find you, I don't know, putting up wallpaper or something, and they'll say, "Are you sure that you know what you're doing?" And they'll do that to make you feel uneasy, to take you off your guard. And now you're nervous to do anything around them because they always have a remark. Maybe you got a new haircut and they might say something like, "Was that the hairdresser's first time cutting hair?" Or during a conversation that they're having, just as you think that it's great that the two of you are spending quality time, you might in turn add to the conversation with an opinion or share some of your thoughtful insights, and they'll roll their eyes or shake their heads. It leaves you feeling stupid and inadequate. And this brings up all the old feelings of never being good enough, never having anything important enough to say or being acknowledged in any way. But you bottle it up inside because at least they're talking with you. And you know full well that if you call them out on it, they will punish you again. So right there, by not saying anything about the way that made you feel, is survival mode. That's survival mode. Tuning you out is another form of emotional abuse. You express something that happened in your day that you're excited to share and they tune you out. Or you'll show them something that you made and they'll look at it with 0 comments and continue on doing whatever they were doing. And that shame wound that you felt growing up surges right back up in you. And all of this is done intentionally. They know what they're doing. They want you feeling small. They want you feeling insignificant. Never apologizing is another form of emotional abuse, and the list goes on. So please feel free to leave some other tactics of emotional abuse that you've experienced or are experiencing in the comments below. What you need to do for yourself is step into a way healthier form of survival mode. What I mean by that is learn radical acceptance. Remind yourself that this is not you. It's really them. They are the ones who have this personality disorder. So don't take it personally. Learn ways to love yourself better by countering those negative beliefs with positive ones, like affirming to yourself that these people are just in your life to show you the parts of self that need healing, and be willing to heal one step at a time, one day at a time, and keep breathing. Google search different types of breathing techniques to lower your cortisol levels. Self-care. So I'm hoping that hearing all of this today gets you closer to the exit door. Remember, you are not alone in this, and you can change. I've seen people with the most horrific experiences go from seemingly hopeless situations to now thriving and happy. When we're willing to turn our eyes in our own direction rather than towards the narcissist, the shift begins. So that is all for today, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.